Good day and welcome to another and/or returning episode of It's a Long Road, the Rambo series podcast. First Blood, Nothing is Over, Part 1. I'm your host, Ryan, and I have a special guest. Before we get to the guest, I just want to say thanks for everyone who's hung around, who has been patiently waiting for another Rambo-centric episode. I did say when I ended the series with Dom that it might never really come back. We don't know, but to not quit your feed because such a day may occur like today. It's arrived on your feed. It's a fresh, brand new episode covering First Blood. And we'll get to what we're doing here if you really don't know what we're doing here. But I want to welcome my guest, first-time guest, Stuart Stokes from...
I am originally from Ireland, but since turning 23, I moved to the United States, moved to New York in search of a job, which I did find. After 10 years of living in New York, I moved to New Jersey. Oh, that's where I'm currently taking this call from today.
Stuart, the reason why he's here is because what I did is I put out on my social media and on a little mini episode of, hey, I'm doing the series again, 4 episodes per film. It's a trivia series, conversational series, or like reboot of the Rambo franchise on the podcast feed. And I'm looking for people who don't mind going on the mic, maybe for the first time, or fellow podcasters, people that I've never met before. I kind of want to do this with people that I've never met before. I love the old faces I've been with 100 times, and I'm going to keep podcasting with those individuals. I'm interested in seeing other fans of Rambo and specifically fans of my show. No, I'm just joking. You wouldn't know about this call if you didn't know about my show. So, Stuart, how did you stumble across the podcast?
So just before we get into that, I'd just like to say that I'm humbled and honored to be on your podcast. I want to give you a nod of appreciation for what a great job you've been doing on your podcast series. Your podcast, they don't come across as interviews. They're conversations between friends and between fans, and you have a great way of putting everybody at ease.
I'm going to break that streak today with you.
This is my first podcast, so please put me at ease.
Yeah, that's great. This is very, quote unquote, brave of you. Not very many people are willing to show their face and have their voice heard. Congrats to you for taking this on and actually being the debut episode of this reboot. How do you feel to take on that mantle?
Yeah. I'm very nervous. I've been very nervous about this, but also very excited. I'm looking forward to it. Just back to how I find you. Everybody has their own criteria for what makes a good podcast, and I'm a big fan of podcasts. And after 30 years of watching the Rambo franchise, I was searching for more content. And I thought, surely somebody out there has done a podcast on Rambo. And sure enough, I type it in and I find your podcast. And what do I find? Not just one podcast per film, but 12 podcasts per film. By the time I had found your podcast, you were already about halfway through Rambo, the 4th film. So you were like 40 odd episodes in already. So not only did I find the content I was searching for, I also found a lot, and I had a lot of catching up to do.
So did you watch in order? Did you just start at the beginning, or did you...
I did, yeah. That's how I am. If I find something, when something has preceded it, I have to start at the beginning and follow the story all the way through.
Yeah, the story arc. This podcast, look, it started, we always joked about Dom and I, like, it started very serious with my interview with David Morrell, the author.
That was amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, he was wonderful. And then it nosedived into our Frank Stallone coverage. So I do apologize to all of our dear listeners who had to suffer through Frank Stallone, which is still going, by the way, with my co-host, Doug. Did you stick around for the Frank or no?
I did, because I really enjoy listening to you, and I enjoy listening to Dom. And the first episode or two, I was like, what is this trash? What am I listening to? And then I give it another episode, and I was like, this is actually hilarious. This is great content. I still wait for the Frank episodes.
Do you think anyone is doing what you're doing, where they're like, there's got to be a Frank Stallone podcast out there? There's got to... I wonder. Okay.
There's always somebody for something.
That's actually true. Look, people find this show, and I want to say to all the dear listeners, all the episodes haven't been booked yet. I've had some great people have already reached out. Ideally, it'd be nice to have 40 different people. Or is that right? No, my math was totally wrong there. What am I doing here? 20. Yeah, 4 episodes, 5 films. It'd be really great to have 20 different people, 20 different voices, male, female, short, tall, small, old, young. It doesn't matter. I'm looking for whoever is a fan of the films and obviously listens to this podcast. So, Stuart, today you're showing the listeners what it is it's going to be. We're going to figure it out as we go. There's no real format other than, yes, we are drawing from, this is the whole point why we're rebooting this, from the Rambo trivia book. So here it is again. You can buy this now. It is available on Amazon. So even if you're playing along at home and you're going to get the answers, I really want everyone to buy a copy. I know I'm plugging this because Rocco, oh boy, I had his name written out. I wish my co-host from the One More Round podcast was here, Kyle Mushreddy. Oh, I'll get it, Rocco. Now I just call him Rocco. He's a teenager now, but he wrote the Rocky trivia book when he was like 10 or 11 years old, and now he tackled this one. It's fantastic. I haven't looked ahead at the questions. Well, I did a few for this episode just to get an idea of what are we into. I don't know the answers to the ones I didn't know. I didn't cheat. I probably will get the lowest amount of points compared to my guess. I'm not very good at trivia, but the idea of the trivia too is, one, to support Rocco. You can get this book on Amazon. Two, the questions will elicit conversations. Just be quick little, what do you think of that scene or that moment that the trivia question asks? It doesn't necessarily go in order of the film, which I kind of like. And for those who don't know, I actually did write the foreword to the book. So that was an honor of mine that Rocco asked me to do. Actually, no, he didn't ask me. I just did it. No, I'm sorry. Rocco asked me, and I was very humbled to do it. So anyways, that's the format. But before we get to the meat of the show with the trivia, what is your fandom?
This is number one for me, just because of what it means to me and the memories I hold from when I was watching this movie, especially for the first time. My memory of the very first two films I ever watched were with both my grandfathers, my dad's father and my mother's father. And with my dad's father, it was First Blood. And with my mother's father, it was Disney's A Jungle Book.
Oh, wow.
I was 7 or 8 when I watched both these movies. One of them was definitely more age appropriate than the other. My grandfather, he didn't sit me down and say, hey, let's watch this movie. We went over to his house one day and he had it on VHS. He had part 2 on VHS, and it was just on the TV. As a 7 or 8-year-old, not really paying much attention to this kind of movie that's on TV. Right. If it's a cartoon, sure, I'm all in. But it was the cliff scene that I noticed. And once I seen him make that jump, I was hooked. I sat myself down in front of that TV and I watched that movie until the end. And ever since then, I was hooked.
That is a moment that does stick with you. I saw the movie about the same age. I was about 8 years old when I saw it for the first time. I'm old. I saw it when it was new on VHS. I was about 8 years old when I saw it too. And yeah, that scene is indelible in your memory. Just, whoa, there's a dude falling off a cliff. And it's the freakiest, craziest stunt ever. I love it.
Yeah, those VHS tips I spoke about, we still have those. We still have them at home, so we can call on them anytime we want. I almost want to dig out an old VHS player to put them in and see what differences there are to watching it, a VHS from the 80s to watching it today in high def.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. You never know when we're going to lose the internet. So, yeah, hold on to those.
You're right. But, yeah, just more on the film and the franchise itself. It's so rewatchable to me. And it's also familiar to home as someone who doesn't live where they grew up anymore. That movie is familiar to me. The scenery is beautiful. That opening scene where Rambo's coming down that winding, steep dirt road with the trees behind him, it reminds me of a similar type road close to where I'm from at home. As I watch these movies more and more, I get more out of them every time I watch them. I spoke about the cliff scene, and that was what hooked me in. It was an action movie with really cool stunts. That's what brought me to it as a kid. But as I watched it more and more, and as I get older, I see it for those things still, but I also see it as this tragic drama. Rambo, he's such a complex character, and so much happens inside his own head that we're only left to assume what he's thinking. And he's remembered as this killing machine. And rightly so, because I looked it up. He's killed almost close to 500 people in the movies. And as you know, in First Blood, no spoilers here because this movie's over 40 years old.
Oh, yeah.
He kills one person, and that was an accident.
So, the intent wasn't to kill, it was to deter, you could argue, yeah.
Unfortunately, the Rambo franchise is seen as a bit of a joke. And I get that because the sequels are fun. But if you take First Blood for what it is as a standalone film, it's a top-tier film. Like, it never gets any less thrilling for me, this film. In the case of First Blood, everything's real. There's no green screens. There's no trickery. I often think about older movies or movies that I've seen as a kid. If I was watching them now for the first time, would I still think they're as good? And in the case of First Blood, absolutely, 100%. When my wife and I were in hospital when she was having our youngest son, that first night, we were all kind of winding down for the night and we jumped into bed and I turned on the TV. And the first thing that came on the TV was, you guessed it, First Blood. It was only 10 minutes in, although it's not the first movie that my son has watched because he was less than a day old, but it was the first movie that he was in the presence of. They talk about coming full circle in the franchise, talk about coming full circle for my grandfather, for me, for him.
Now, were your grandparents still alive during that time? Like during that?
My grandfather, he passed away in 95. So that's the only way I have of understanding what age I was whenever I watched that movie, because it was with him. He was alive. I was born in 87. So at the oldest, I was 8.
I don't know about things like this sometimes. I wonder, but you always wondered, was that his little message to you with holding the baby that, hey, I'm here with you still. Congratulations on the baby.
I am spiritual, but I've never thought of that. So yeah, thanks for that.
Oh, you're welcome. That's what I do. Hey, this heathen over here, sometimes I say good things. No, that's really great. I love it. See, this is what I love about these films and talking to people. I love hearing other people's experiences and what it means to them. And the Venn diagram of how we feel about the films is always fairly much spot on, but what it means or why it means to us, what it means to us is always very unique. I love hearing like why it means to you, what it does, and when you first saw it. And it's great. And to answer your question, I have a few kids that you probably, I think I've talked about my kids on the show, on the podcast. We watched the Rambos and they do love them. Speaking of First Blood, yeah, when they watch First Blood, they're not bored. They're not like, where's the CGI? They love the quiet moments. They love the intensity. And of course, when the cliff jumping scene comes out, they all did the same thing. They're like, what the world? and they're savvy enough. Kids are kind of fun now because they know that there was a world before CGI. They recognize, or they even know that CGI is not quote unquote real. It can really look good. It can really enhance the story. I'm not anti CGI. I always say Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. Those are films where you needed CGI to tell the story. Like you needed extra stuff to tell the story that's in the books. But if you don't rely on CGI for the story, it can really enhance it. But what I like about these early films, the kids actually recognize when there's no CGI. In a weird way, they find that thrilling. It's like a reverse. Like when you and I saw CGI for the first time, we were kind of, whoa, Terminator 2. Right. It's so crazy that the Terminator did that weird metal thing. Like we were blown away by it. But kids are reversed now. When they see real stunts and real aesthetics, they're like, wow, that's cool. Those are miniature models. I can't believe they took the time and effort to do all that stuff. So it's kind of funny how it's a reversal now.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's great insight there.
How's your little one now?
My youngest, Jude, just turned 1 a few weeks back, and my oldest, Dean, turns 4 next month.
There you go. Oh, you got your hands full, buddy.
It's great. It's amazing. But yeah, we're definitely in the trenches.
Good for you. And is your wife Irish?
My wife is not Irish. She was born in Syria.
Oh, wow.
And she moved to the States when she was 3.
Boy, you guys are like all over the place.
Yeah, we are. It's fun. We actually have to pull out a map to show our oldest son, Dean, where mommy and daddy
Are you allowed to be in the United States? Are you guys legally there?
Yeah. Yeah. Where's my passport? Don't report me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fantastic. Let's get into it. Let's get into the trivia. Are you ready? I've looked at the first few questions, and I'm telling you right now, when I tell you the score at the end of the series, I'll be in last place. I think my guests collectively will have a higher score than me by the end of the show. People at home who are playing along, if you laugh and scoff at us, then you come on the show and you prove to me how great you are, okay? And you can't own the book before you come on or just promise me you didn't cheat.
That's what I'm doing. I wanted to buy that book. I seen it's available on Amazon, and I wanted to buy it, but I knew if I bought it, I would read it. So I wanted to get this out of the way first and then read it.
Oh, it's fair. Yeah, here we go. So again, it's not so important who gets it right or wrong. The important thing is we have fun and we talk about the film. Okay, folks, play along at home. All right, here we go. Question 1. According to Galt, how many years will it take to paint the hall in the police station? Okay. Now, you were nodding there. Do you know the answer?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Oh, Oh, okay, I'm in trouble. So in that scene, of course, Galt's coming down. They're bringing Rambo down to the cell to get his fingerprints. And Galt, hey there, what was his name? Leroy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, his name is Leroy. They're like, hey, Leroy, it's going to take you blank number of years to paint this place. Now, my understanding is, a little back trivia here, I think we might have mentioned this during the original run, but they were really doing renovation in the building.
Do you think that Leroy is an actor, or was he actually going to work that day to paint those walls?
That's a great question, and who knows, because that's still that early guerrilla style type filmmaking. I would suspect, because they have a camera crew set up, they're filming the shot, right? They probably wouldn't want people walking around that weren't supposed to be on set.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, so I think it's an extra, and the fact they gave him a character name, they'd have to pay him all the same.
Sure.
So I think doesn't he mumble something too?
Probably to Galt, and let's talk about Galt for a bit. He is, for me, the biggest heel in this film.
Oh, yeah.
I understand that Teasle is Rambo's main nemesis in First Blood, but to Teasle, there's a sense of him disliking Rambo, but he still wants to go by the book, and he still, up to a certain point, tries to diffuse situations. But Galt's just an outright bully. First with Rambo, then with Leroy, sling that paint boy, and even the guy driving the helicopter, the pilot, he calls him a dummy. Over there, dummy.
Yeah, that's a great scene. The helicopter goes, I swear to God, I'm going to kill you. His timbre and his voice is so great. Yeah, he played that to a T. A great character actor, great moments in that film. I agree. When he falls out and hits that rock and his head splatters everywhere, I don't think anyone feels sorry for him.
That noise that he makes, that swing, that screech. Yeah.
Okay, so what is Rambo's answer? When the sheriff asks him what direction he's going in, I suspect when he first meets Rambo, we can work together a little bit, Stuart. I think he's referring, are you going this way, that way, like compass directions?
That's what I'm thinking too. It's one or the other. It's okay. One or the other.
Are you writing this down or are you just memorizing it?
I am, yeah. I've got my little post-it here.
Okay, all right. Stuart came to play. He's all business. I'm a little bit nervous. All right, this one you should get. What is the name of the National Guard lieutenant?
National Guard. So, is that the lieutenant who comes into the tent whenever Teasle's men come off the mountain, or is that the guys that go up the mountain to try and...
I think it's referring to the scene where they planted the flag, that group of people.
Oh, yeah. No, I won't. I heard an interview with Sylvester Stallone once, and he dislikes that group, that crew. He refers to them as the Goof Troop.
Oh, yeah. Is he just saying he didn't like the scene?
That part of the movie, that group.
Oh, he thought it was too silly, maybe?
Yeah, a little bit slapstick, maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of bad because it paints the National Guard in a bad light, which I don't think is fair. They're probably much more professional than the film portrays. Agreed,
100%. Teasle and his crew couldn't catch Rambo, and the people that come to help Teasle and his crew can't catch him either. I think it's more to big up Rambo's ability that no one within this region can catch him.
You bring up a good point there, Stuart. Something I never even considered when we covered the film. The tension or the overall feeling of the film is kind of broken up by that comedic moment because I'm not going in there. The whole stuff is, it's kind of silly. The bullseye, I actually hate the bullseye.
Bullseye. Yeah.
You know, it would have been great had they refilmed it or could refilm. I know you can't, but a George Lucas cut could be to make it serious. If they were badass guys, and it shows you just how badass Rambo is that he got away from them too.
Yeah. I didn't know about this until I heard it from you for the first time. But there's a 3-hour cut of that movie locked in a safe in one of Sylvester Stallone's houses. Yeah. I'm just curious: is a lot of that extra 90 minutes the National Guard that he dislikes so much?
Maybe I've heard some stuff that's in that cut. I think is what is in that cut? But I think there was like a lot of drawn out scenes. You can actually Google online some of the scenes that were cut from the film. That I think there's one where Sly was saying too, or something that Rambo is being a little bit more like crazy-ish, kooky. So it was out of character within the film. Sly says to this day, had the original cut ever been released, it would have ended his career. That's how badly he thought of it.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, massive props to them for cutting this thing down to 90 minutes. They pack a lot into 90 minutes.
They really do. Sly's a master editor. He's a great storyteller, and storytelling is actually done through editing, right? What does the audience want to see? So he's really good at figuring what the audience wants to see. Yeah. All right, you should get this one. If you don't, you might be kicked off the show. Who composed the music for First Blood? Oh, he's smiling right away, folks. Okay.
Let's chat about the music, the score.
It's beautiful. The opening sequence with that, it's a long, the song at the end, but they play that composition with the acoustic guitar. Yeah. And then Rambo smiling. Oh, this is happy. He's happy. He's in a good place. And then all of a sudden it goes to fight.
Yeah, I mean, the music, it's so powerful in this film, but it never overpowers anything else by way of the acting or the scenery. When he escapes from that sheriff's department, that that could be the movie end, and he's been arrested, he's escaped, he's getting away at the end. The music tells that story. I've often thought about when I watch the film is the horror aspect of this film when they're up in the woods or in the forest chasing after Rambo, or Rambo's actually hunting Teasle and his men.
You're right.
It's dark. It's at night. It's dark. There's thunder. There's lightning. But without the music, and from horror movies, the music makes the scenes. It makes the suspense that put people on the edge of their seat, or makes people hide behind the blankets.
Oh yeah.
After doing a bit of reading on Jerry Goldsmith, because I know you're such a big fan, it validates that thought, because he's scored horror movies in the past. He's done Alien.
Oh. Yeah.
He's done The Omen, for which he won an Oscar for Best Score, and also Poltergeist. He was nominated for Best Score for that in the same year that he did First Blood.
We didn't bring that up on our show. That's great trivia. That's awesome. I love it. This is great. Look, you're natural. You're doing great.
It's about 30 years of nerding out on something comes up with.
If it wasn't for nerds like us or nerds like you listening to the show, I wouldn't have a show. So thank you. Appreciate it. Actually, is it nerd or geek? Nerd is somebody that's smart about a certain topic. A geek is just kind of smart in general. Is that right? Is that how that usually works?
We didn't grow up with nerd and geek when we were growing up, so I'm not too sure of the difference.
We use that all the time. Hey, you nerd. Remember in Rocky IV, what do you think we are, nerds? So it was
yeah.
The idea of it is that a nerd is derogatory. I never watched this show, but remember Urkel from Family Matters or whatever?
I never watched it either, but I'm familiar with the character.
Yeah.
Did I do that?
Yeah. There you go. Did I do that? See, you remember the catchphrase better than I do. I forgot about it. I don't think I've seen a single episode, but I know that stupid character. He irritates me every time I've heard him talk. I don't know why anyone would think he's funny. I'd rather watch Elf, the puppet, than Urkel. Anyways, that Urkel is what you call a nerd, and then a geek would be. Did you ever watch the X-Files?
Yeah.
Remember the Lone Gunman?
Sure.
Characters? Yeah, those are geeks.
Okay, I got it. I think learn something new every day. Every day.
I could be wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong, audience, in your comments. Okay. All right. This is sort of a trick question. So the question is, what is the first thing that Rambo collects in the forest? That might be the key word. In the forest to ensure his survival. Okay.
Is that a trick question?
I don't think it's a trick question, but you could argue it could be. Because again, what is the first thing that Rambo collects? And I think in the forest, that's the key part of the question.
Out of the scenes in the forest, they're amazing. They do such a great job of showing us how better equipped Rambo is to survive. When he's moving through that forest, he's so fast and agile, whereas Teasle and his men, they're slow and almost stumble over any obstacle that comes up against them.
Yeah, my kids, when we saw that scene for the first time, my kids were like, "Oh, I see him. He's right there. He's in the top." They're trying to find
right.
Like at the Where's Waldo, when he'd see, they're trying to figure out if they could spot him before he revealed himself. It was kind of fun. They caught the tree one. They caught the overhead one, but they didn't get the other ones. Like, how does he hide like that?
Yeah, the one where he's lying low in the bushes. Yeah, it's hard to see him in that one. The other one where the National Guard are starting to come up the rocks and the rivers going down, and he's hiding behind the rocks. And there's maybe, 10 or 20 feet of rock that he could hide behind. I never know where he is. I've seen this movie countless times and I can never find him. I make a game of it myself. I'm like, he's behind that rock. No, he's not behind that rock.
Yeah, that's a great moment too. They all think they're hunting him, but no, he's hunting them. Yeah, he's the one hunting them. I love it. All right, this one's tricky. According to Troutman, what will be on Rambo's tombstone? I'm not going to write it all down because I'm going to verbalize the answer on this one because it's a quote. I think if we hit most of the points, it has to be verbatim.
I can probably remember part of it, but with Troutman, if he wasn't a colonel in the army, he should have been a boxing promoter or something. how he promotes Rambo through this entire franchise is second to none.
That's great. I love it. Yeah, we get switched the role. Did you watch the Rocky films? Did you watch the Rocky films?
Oh yeah. Well, I seen Rambo first, and then because of Rambo, dived into Rocky. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you listened to the Rocky series that I do. The same way we covered Rambo, I'm still doing with the Rocky series right now. There's a character course in part 5 that we're covering. George Washington Duke, the promoter there. So it'd be funny if you switched. Imagine if you made George Washington Duke. He's the Colonel in First Blood, and you made Troutman, George Washington Duke's character in Rocky 5. That'd be hilarious. That's fun. Yeah. I love it. Yeah, Troutman was great, of course, played by Richard Crenna. A credible performance. Every dialogue that he gave is just classic 80s. I love it. Bring a lot of body bags. I just love the dialogue because I'm trying to envision these conversations being real. And boy, this guy, would you stop with the quips? Every time you end something, you're ending with a quip of some sort. But I love it. It's a perfect delivery by Crenna. Okay, number 7. Name one of the police dogs that is trying to locate Rambo in the forest. I don't even have a guess on this one. I forget the names.
There's 3 of them.
I think he refers to them all as girls, if I remember correctly.
The one thing I always remember about those dogs growing up is that they can eat and run at the same time.
Yeah.
I remember questioning that, going, why is that so impressive? I tried it myself, like I could eat and run.
I am a dog owner. My dog definitely loves to eat. I think the idea
Same, yeah.
Like animals in general, I think humans might be the only ones that really don't. And maybe you could argue monkeys swinging through trees with a banana. What I'm saying is most animals are stationary when they eat. This is normal. You're in place. You're at the dinner table. You're eating. The dog's in the dog bowl. They're eating. So the idea that your dog would have a dog treat and run while it's chewing, I guess that is weird. You never see a dog chew and run.
That's a good point. Yeah, they'll put it in their mouth. They'll run. They'll stop.
They'll stop when they
want to eat. Yeah, you're right.
So I'm not a dog expert. So I think the idea when he says they can eat and run, he's saying these are special animals that, unlike most dogs, they're so focused on their task that they will eat and run at the same time because they got to hunt first and eat is secondary.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
But I don't think they do. I think he's just trying to make a metaphorical point. How great!
Yeah. Well, he loves those dogs. That's clear to see.
Yeah, I admit the dog killing is tough, but the way I wrap my head around that is it's kill or be killed. I don't think he personally took pleasure in killing the dogs. I think he probably took more pleasure in killing humans than dogs. But if he doesn't, he's going to get mauled and or caught.
Sure. 500 people, 3 dogs over 5 franchises.
That's right. 3 dogs and 1 boar.
Oh, yeah, the boar.
Yeah,
Which could have been a rabbit.
I know. I don't know why he had to kill 1 month's worth of food for the one night. Maybe he thought he might have a few nights hiding. So fair enough.
Do you know what? One of my good friends told me, and I believe it came from his dad. It's get it now because you never know when you'll get it again. Or take it now because you never know when you'll get it again.
That's my lovemaking philosophy. That's probably why I have too many kids. Okay. All right. I don't have an answer for the dog. I got to think. Okay, I'm going to go with this answer. I think it's something close to it. Okay. What are the sheriff's instructions to the National Guard when they are trying to locate Rambo? So they're looking for Rambo. Teasel goes on the walkie-talkie and says, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Now, this one I don't remember, but you might. What beverage does Teasel order when at the bar with Troutman? I feel like I know what Troutman was drinking, but I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
What did you think of that scene in the bar?
I absolutely love the relationship between Teasel and Troutman, or the chemistry between Richard Crenna and Brian Dennehy in this film. Every time they interact with each other in the film, it's just amazing.
Yeah, powerhouse actors for sure.
Yeah. When they first meet in the tent, it's almost comedic. They're going barb for barb against each other. You're not going to catch Rambo. You don't think I'm going to catch Rambo? We're going to catch Rambo. But I think in the bar scene, it's them kind of meeting together in the middle to find a common ground just to finish what's happening, what's going on thus far in the film.
There's a nod to the book where Teasel asks Troutman, if you had found him, what would you done? Give him a big warm kiss or hug or whatever? Or would you have blown his brains out? Now in the book, that's what he does.
At that point, I'd never read the book and never picked up on that. And when you mentioned it on your podcast, I went back the next time I watched the film and I waited for that line. And it's so obvious that that's a nod to the book.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's great. Yeah. The other part that I liked about that scene too was the juxtaposition between the law enforcement side of killing and military. In the military, for example, in war, just basic war, you have a soldier versus soldier. You're authorized to kill. There's no questions. Like, you don't talk the enemy off a ledge. When you're in a battle of nation versus nation, the majority of the fighting is just you shoot and ask questions later. There's the enemy, downrange, fire your weapon. They're in sight, you fire the weapon. In police force and police work, they don't do that. They're not supposed to do that. Meaning, you talk, you figure it out. What is the escalation of force? All that stuff, right? I mean, there's rules in war, but you get what I'm saying.
Sure.
There's a lot more talking, conversing, talking people off ledges. We don't want to do this. What are we doing here? What's happening? A lot more find out questions and stuff. That's what Troutman kind of picks at Teasel a little bit, saying, boy, if it wasn't for that badge. And Teasel's like, yeah, I wanted to kill that guy. I wanted to kill that guy. Like, never killed. Had it been war,
right.
Soldier versus soldier, because he was a veteran of war. He's a veteran of the Korean War. So that was still in his blood. His training was the Korean War, the conflict. So he was used to killing his enemy. But Rambo is this weird situation where it's an American citizen. It's his enemy, but he's now in law enforcement. You can't just kill him that way.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it. And I didn't know this until I read the book. And I've just got the book recently. My lovely wife bought me the book for my birthday. And I'm the slowest reader in history. Even after reading it for a couple of weeks, I'm still in the prison. We haven't left the prison.
If you want, I can edit it out. I can make it sound like you just got the book yesterday. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Finished it. Yeah, going on to the part 2 book next. But my first oh wow moment that I've come across so far is about Teasel being a veteran of the Korean War, and that he was awarded his own medal. We all know Rambo, Congressional Medal of Honor. Teasel was awarded his own medal, and if I remember, it's a cross. But whatever it is, David Morrell in the book tells us that it's the second highest medal that can be awarded to a service member. And of course, Rambo has the highest. So when I read that in the book, I say to myself, this makes so much more sense now about how personal this battle is for Teasel against Rambo.
The book really heightens. I think it's worth reading for everyone, because we see in the film, we just think he's got a bone to pick with this veteran, but he sees the whole thing. He thinks the Vietnam War is a farce, that it was a crooked war. Like the Korean War is more honest. Then he sees the sort of competition. He's a younger kid compared to him. He's got better wars. It's a bit of a pissing contest between soldiers. Absolutely.
Sure. Agreed, 100%.
Yeah. Last question. I think we're going to end with an easy one. The police station is decorated for what holiday? All right. The police station is decorated for what holiday? What is it? Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready? I got the first one wrong.
I'm ready.
According to Galt, how many years will it take to paint the hall in the police station? What was your answer?
10 years.
Ah, buddy, you got it.
It looks like it's going to take old Leroy about 10 years to paint this hall.
Why the hell don't you paint it your damn self?
Come on, Leroy, sling that paint, boy.
Good, Mr. Ward.
Yes.
I wrote 5 years. Okay. I am keeping score, folks, and I already got the second one wrong too. What I'll say is I got the opposite direction. I know in the film he says, you said you're going blank when it's blank. And I'm like, I couldn't remember which directions it started with. I just know that it's the opposite when they figure out he's going to Portland. It was the opposite direction. The question is, what is Rambo's answer when the sheriff asks him what direction he's going in?
North.
Good job.
Where you headed? Portland. Portland is south. You said you were headed north.
You got someplace I can eat around here?
I wrote south.
Yeah.
Portland south.
I love that part of the film. I think that's almost as if Rambo is walking into town. He's just probably crossed town limits. And, within a few minutes, the sheriff's pulling up and asking him questions. And the first kind of contentious question Teasel asked him in the film, Rambo huffs. Initially watching it, thought he's huffing because somebody from the police is hassling him. But then I found out from listening to your podcast and now reading the book, this is the 15th town he's been to. So he's probably thinking, here we go again.
Yeah.
So he's up for the battle initially, straight from the get-go. And where are you going? Portland. Oh, Portland's south. You said you're going north. I don't think Rambo knows where he's going. I think he's just trying to be contentious to see what buttons he can push with Diesel.
Yeah, the book makes it clear that Rambo's not as innocent as we think he is. And I understand they make him more sympathetic in the film. That's fine. But in the movie, yeah, you'll see more in the book. Both are equally at fault in the book more than the film. So,
okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
He's an anti-hero more in the film than the book, for sure. What is the name of the National Guard lieutenant?
Clinton Morgan.
Bang on. I got it too. It's a great scene because I just love the way the actor delivers that line. This is Lieutenant Clinton Morgan.
All right, Rambo! This is Lieutenant Clinton Morgan, National Guard leader. Now I'm giving you just 30 seconds to come on out.
The way he enunciates his name. Why do you say that?
Like Rambo's going to know who you are. Oh, I gotta come out. It's Clinton Morgan.
It's that guy. It's that Lieutenant Morgan. All right. Clinton Morgan. Yeah.
I'm giving you just 30 seconds.
And that is the military way to say time, by the way.
Is it really?
Yeah. I'm in the Navy. Don't at me, folks. I'm a softie compared to Rambo, but I am in the Canadian Forces here in Canada. But that's how you say time or number. So if it's like 300, you don't say 300. You say 300.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. 3 more years and I retire, brother. I'm out in 3 years. My 25 years is coming. Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you. I'll probably just keep podcasting because it really pays the bills, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure. No. Yeah, funny on that. Just before I was coming on here, this is my wife's office for work, and I had to kick her out for this. And she knows it's trivia. She knows it's a quiz. And she said, "Do you win anything? You win a prize? You win?" $50,000.
Hey, your victories, you're on the show. Yeah. Do you win anything? Yeah, what do I get out of this? Just joke. Okay. I got this one wrong, and I've got an issue with this answer. Boy, Rocco's playing hard. The question was, what is the first thing that Rambo collects in the force to ensure his survival?
Did you get Clinton Morgan?
Oh, yes, I did.
You did.
Yeah. What is the first thing that Rambo collects in the force to ensure his survival? What'd you put?
I'm worried that this is kind of like a trick or whatever, but it's fine. I think it's the canvas.
I wrote canvas too.
Yeah.
And I bet you everyone at home wrote. Now, that canvas, by the way, the trivia that we talked about, that was already there on the forest floor. It was naturally there, and they used it.
I love that. That's amazing. That's how real this film is. How old is that canvas by the time they found it and they used it in the film? Oof.
Yeah, and that truck is still there, too, by the way, I think.
Is it really?
That's what I've heard. Okay, you know what he wrote? I'm going to look at the film afterwards. So the answer is he wrote a wire.
Okay, so it's the canvas and the wire. Okay. I did write down canvas and wire.
Did you write wire, though?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I did.
I got to give you the point.
You see it?
Yeah, I see it. That's amazing that you wrote wire. Wow.
I thought that was a rope up until very recently. Like on a recent rewatch of the movie, I always thought it was a rope, but then I was looking. You look at different things when you've watched something 30, 40, 50 times and you notice different things. Yeah. I just noticed that the way it was hanging, it didn't hang like a rope. It hung like an electrical wire. Electrical cable.
Good. That's awesome. Good catch. Wow. Good for you. Okay. According to Troutman, what will be on Rambo's tombstone? I'm going to let you say it first before I look. You don't have to get the exact. You don't have to get the exact wording, but what is it basically he says will be?
Here lies John Rambo, survivor of countless excursions behind enemy lines, winner of the Congressional Medal of Honor, arrested for vagrancy in Jerkwater, USA.
That's going to look real good on his gravestone at Arlington. Here lies John Rambo, winner of the Congressional Medal of Honor, survivor of countless incursions behind enemy lines, killed for vagrancy in Jerkwater, USA.
Yes, Jerkwater, USA. Love it. Good
I
job.
love that part just to finish it off. Jerkwater, USA.
Yeah, I love that.
Don't give me that crap, Troutman.
And he's mad because his guy didn't win or something like that.
The best guy lost.
Yeah, the best guy lost. Oh, I freaking love that scene.
The best guy lost, and he doesn't like it.
So here's the exact quote. I think you got it bang on. Wow. I think you got it bang on. Here, I'm reading from the book. Here lies John Rambo.
Go ahead, read it out.
Yeah, here lies John Rambo, winner of the Congressional Medal of Honor, survivor of countless incursions. Good job. Behind enemy lines, kill for vagrancy in Jerkwater, USA. Wow. We both got the point.
I have a knack of remembering things like that. That final scene where Rambo breaks. I don't know it word for word, but I do remember a lot of it. I do remember so much of that final scene because it's almost the build of the movie. I know that when Rambo gets into the town and the action scene of him blowing up the town is the huge payoff for everything that we're building towards. But that final scene is really the big payoff of the movie for me because he doesn't speak a lot in the movie. And it's in the final scene where he explodes verbally. He starts off with being really angry, talking about the people protesting him and spitting at him and not being able to hold down a job. And then it descends into depression when he starts to tell stories about his friends. Listen, I wasn't even born whenever the Vietnam War happened.
Right.
I wasn't even born when First Blood Part 2 came out. I'm not American. I'm not connected to any of the countries that were involved in the Vietnam War, but that speech that he gives, that makes me care about people's experiences. It's heartbreaking to listen to, and it's so real. All the stories, I'm sure you know this, but all the stories that he tells, they're all real stories. He went to veterans of the Vietnam War and talked to them. The story about the shoe shine box, that's real. A soldier wanting to take a trip to Vegas when they get back from the war, that's real. Even Troutman's actions during that scene. Him and Rambo have this great father-son relationship, but it develops over the course of the franchise. We don't really notice it too much in First Blood. Certainly Rambo probably doesn't even see it too much in First Blood, but as Troutman's listening to Rambo break down, he still keeps that like professional, superior officer approach, but you can see Troutman's lip quiver. He's moved by what he's seeing. And part of me was like, would you put your arm around him or hug him or say something? But it was something that you said that really clicked with me. He says nothing, because when's the last time that he spoke like this? Probably never. So by not saying anything or not doing anything, he's doing Rambo a service by just letting him get everything that's inside his head out.
Well said. That's awesome. Very well said. And I suspect, again, just because Stuart talked about it today, folks, if you're coming on as a guest for the next 3 episodes of First Blood, by all means, share whatever scene that I want to hear other people's feelings on it, but you nailed it. And I think you did a very good job there explaining that. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I hope I didn't spoil the answers.
That's fine. Don't worry about that. Okay. Name one of the police dogs that is trying to locate Rambo in the forest. Do you have a name?
I do. Maggie.
Kill him. Go get him. Go get him, Maggie.
Yes, you got it. You got it. You're killing it.
Yeah.
So I got wire wrong. Let me do my marks here. Wire wrong. I got the quote right. Maggie wrong. I wrote Susie. Now, I don't know if any of the dogs were named, because he does say one of the dogs, but maybe that was the only one named. But now I hear it like, go get it, Maggie.
Yeah. It's the first or the last dog that he sends over the bluff.
Yeah, it's the last one. The
go, Maggie, go get him.
Yeah, the first 2 get shot, and I think Maggie gets her neck broke.
Okay.
Yeah. By the sound effects, we never really know, but it's not a gunshot kill. What are the sheriff's instructions to the National Guard when they are trying to locate Rambo?
Not a clue.
No shooting, no firing of the weapon. They weren't to fire their weapons. But whatever you do, don't shoot, don't engage, whatever the wording was. Because when he says no shooting, the next scene cuts to the gunfire.
Right. Okay.
This show, they totally disregarded it, because it was literally the order he gave, however he worded it. I don't think I'm going to lose marks, but he told him not to engage or fire on Rambo. Oh, he actually did the whole quote. Well, you give me the point, audience. So he actually wrote the whole quote. Surround the area with every man, but don't move in. Don't do anything until I get there. And no shooting. I don't want him dead. I want him alive.
Yes, I know exactly where it is. Now listen to me very carefully. Surround the area with every man you've got, but don't move in. I repeat, don't move in. In fact, don't do anything till I get there. And no shooting. I don't want him dead. I want him alive.
You get the point for that.
You think so?
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Yeah, because I think that's the takeaway from that, is that he told him not to shoot. Yeah. Okay, what beverage does Teasel order when at the bar with Troutman? I know Troutman is nursing a beer, I believe. And I think Teasel wanted something stronger. I went with hard liquor.
He needs something stronger.
What was your answer?
It's Wild Turkey.
Oh, miss, would you do this again, please?
Hi, Sheriff.
And from my friend. You need a shooter. Wild Turkey.
It's a shot of Wild Turkey.
Oh, my God. What kind of alcohol is that? Do you know?
It's whiskey, isn't it?
Oh, you're probably right. I'm not really an alcohol guy. I wrote scotch.
Look at the Irish guy getting something right on whiskey. Hey!
Yeah, you probably eat potatoes too, don't you?
Love my potatoes.
There you go. I love potatoes too. You're bang on. A shooter of Wild Turkey.
Shooter. Yeah, that's what he calls it, a shooter.
So I said scotch, which is if I would have even got half a point, but see, it's the wrong type of drink. All right, fair enough.
Yeah, it's in the same family. Give yourself a point for that.
No. Wild Turkey is not scotch. So if it's not scotch, it's not scotch. I have to play by the rules. I knew it was a hard liquor. I just couldn't remember. Whiskey was my first. Go with your gut, Ryan. Whiskey was my first. Anyways, whatever. But Wild Turkey. Of course, the last answer. Do we even have to read it? What was the holiday?
Christmas.
Yeah.
Is it a Christmas movie? Is it not a Christmas movie?
I want to say this about the Christmas movie debate. Rambo, you could take everything out of the film. Christmas related, it wouldn't matter. Like you could take away the decorations and that's it. The film stands on its own.
I don't even believe anybody mentions Christmas in the film.
But even if they mention it, even if they said, I can't believe they're shooting like this on Christmas Day. You could take that out of the film and the film would still be a film. Now, this is where it gets debatable with Die Hard because it centers around Christmas. It's a Christmas party. So so that's where it gets tricky because if you take Christmas out of Die Hard, how much of the film is remaining?
It's a holiday Christmas party. It just could be a normal Christmas party. That's a really good point. Yeah, just because it happens at Christmas or around Christmas doesn't make it a Christmas movie.
Lethal Weapon's a good one too, where it takes place at Christmas.
Right.
But it's for me a Christmas film. When it gets down to it, when I watch a Christmas film, I want to feel the Christmas spirit.
Yeah.
That's it, folks. That's how it works. This is part 1 of 4 for First Blood. Nothing is over. Stuart, is there anything you want to plug or anything you want to share?
Yeah, I do actually. I want to plug something for my brother, who also has a great name. His name's Ryan.
Oh, great. It's an Irish name too, I think.
Yeah. So Ryan has his own company where he custom makes wrestling belts. Started off as a hobby. Growing up, a wrestling belt, saved up for so long to get it, had to be shipped all the way from the US. So you could imagine how expensive that was to, 14-year-old kid at the time. And it doesn't come on real leather, but I had it for 10 years or whatever. And we make our way to the States. The belt comes with me. And one day he just takes the notion that he'll jump on the train, go to a leather store downtown, buy a hide of leather, bring it home and actually replicate this like faux leather plastic material that's on the belt and make it into real leather. So he did that and it turned into a hobby for him. And then that hobby turned into a business for him. So yeah, he can do what he did with my belt, or he can custom make belts from scratch. One example is a customer reached out to him and said, hey, I'm a student at the University of Alabama and I love a wrestling belt with the Alabama logo and a few other things. So he worked closely with the client and designed what he needed, what he wanted. They actually had to go to the University of Alabama to get the copyright information so that they were permitted to actually put their logo on something. And where can you find him? Either on Facebook or Instagram. His Facebook is Ryan Stokes Leather and Belts, and his Instagram is Stokes Leather and Belts. Check out his site. Yeah, he's incredibly gifted at what he does. He has amazing hands.
At least one of you are, so that's great. All right, good. All right, Stuart, it was a true pleasure. Thanks for starting this journey regarding our Nothing Is Over series of the Rambo films. I think we're off to a great start. I think listeners now see how it's done. If you think you have what it takes to be a guest on the show, send me an email, again, via the show notes, and let me know why you think you're good to be a guest. I think First Blood is pretty much booked at this point. So just tell me that you're good to go to be a guest. It doesn't matter which film, because it's just going to be a matter of scheduling. So I don't really want to promise anyone any films at this point. So it's just you'll get in when you get in. So the first 20 or 19 people from this point on get in type thing. Yeah. But if no one answers the call, I think I might call on people like Stuart to come back if you're willing to come back.
I'd love to come back. I'm so happy I was able to sit here and chat to you about a film that I love so much. There's so many fond memories from my childhood and just throughout my life. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to do this.
Oh, it was absolutely my pleasure. You were great. You're fantastic. You're a natural, my friend. Other than the accent, you were perfect. So, all right.
I did try and slow it down a bit.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, I talk fast too, by the way. It might be a Canadian thing. I talk fast all the time. And I'm like, does anyone listen to me at 1.25 or 0.5 speed? Because I talk fast. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening. This has been a lot of fun. But with that, though, this episode is over.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.